Transgrid is progressing planning for HumeLink, 360 kilometres of new overhead transmission lines connecting Wagga Wagga, Bannaby and Mooragle. The project requires approval from the New South Wales and Commonwealth governments. As part of the planning approval process, Transgrid is preparing an Environmental Impact Statement, or EIS. An EIS evaluates the project's potential impacts on specific topics. One of these is biodiversity in the project footprint and surrounding areas. An assessment is completed in accordance with the New South Wales Biodiversity Assessment Method and Commonwealth requirements for listed species under the Environment Protection and Biodiversity Conservation Act. The assessment approach requires the project to avoid or minimise direct, indirect and prescribed impacts on biodiversity values. Assessment finds are documented in the project's Biodiversity Development Assessment Report, or BDAR. The Biodiversity Assessment Study Area includes the project footprint plus a 500-metre buffer either side, and a project locality assessment which includes the project footprint within a 10-kilometre buffer. It also includes a more specific area identified as the project's Indicative Disturbance Area, which is an area of land to be temporarily or permanently cleared for the project. The BDAR identifies impacts during the construction and operation of the project on ecological communities, flora species and fauna species, including birds, mammals, reptiles, amphibians and insects. Potential impacts may include impacts on habitat or vegetation from sedimentation and erosion, reduced viability of habitat due to noise, dust or light, transport of weeds and pathogens from the work sites to adjacent vegetation, reduced access to food and loss of shade or shelter, and impacts to breeding habitats. A biodiversity management plan is prepared as part of the Construction Environmental Management Plan. The plan includes processes that will be implemented to evaluate, monitor, report on, and mitigate biodiversity impacts during construction. A connectivity strategy will also be prepared which will identify connectivity corridors required for fauna movement across the easement. Projects are developed to avoid and minimise biodiversity impacts where feasible and reasonable to do so, including minimisation of vegetation clearing. This is done through iterative refinement of the transmission line corridor and consideration of route options, and is further considered during detailed design and construction planning. Any residual biodiversity impacts will be offset through the implementation of a biodiversity offset strategy, which will be completed in line with the New South Wales Biodiversity Offset Scheme. The strategy will propose a combination of offset options such as establishing biodiversity stewardship sites, purchasing and retiring of existing biodiversity credits, and or making a payment into the Biodiversity Conservation Fund. You can contact the project team for more information about Transgrid's approach to biodiversity offsets. As the project progresses, more information about the impacts to biodiversity as well as the proposed management measures will become available, and Transgrid will always keep stakeholders informed as our understanding of the impacts evolve during the project. If you have any questions, please reach out to the project team.